Like I've kind of been watching Love Island with her, like a little bit, but I don't really enjoy it.
No, I don't think I would like that show.
It's just really annoying, and every single season is like 40 episodes, and they're all the same thing over and over again.
I just don't like those dating shows. They're just not. They're like entertaining at first, and then it's like, oh, it's all the same thing every time. Like, okay, this guy's a shitty person.
Mm-hmm.
This girl's gonna get slut shamed, and
I think it's usually just like background noise. Because like if you actually pay attention to it, there's nothing to pay attention to.
There's no
Like if you've seen the
substance.
first 2 episodes of any season, you've seen the entire show.
so a bunch of people going, I think I have like chemistry with like this one guy.
Yeah, or they're
Yeah.
British and they have the worst accents, and they're so annoying.
All those Essex.
She's well attractive, isn't she? Oh yeah, bro, she's really hot. I'd like to snog her in her mouth.
I hate British accents so much.
There's
I
some
like
of them
some.
that are just so.
Welsh accents are the worst.
Or like where's Russell Brand from? Because he almost
Hell.
has that like
Yeah, he's
snotty like British.
He's probably
his,
from, like-
it's like his mouth portrays bad breath so much. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but like, there's certain people that you see them on TV and you're like, that guy has rancid breath. Like, you
They
just know
stink.
it. The guy that does the Visine commercials, you remember the guy, the old guy?
Oh yeah.
Just the way he talks, you're like, I would hate to be his
Halitosis.
dentist. That would suck. I don't know. I'm sure that he doesn't. I'm sure that he has enough money to fix it. Because a lot of times people don't realize, like, bad breath doesn't come necessarily from just like not brushing your teeth. It comes from actually like bad, like a dying tooth, like straight up, like dental problems like that will cause that, opposed to just not brushing your teeth or your tongue. So
Yeah, there's like other like underlying health things.
yeah, I'm sure Russell Brand probably doesn't have bad breath, but he looks like he does.
I'm just gonna say he does.
Oh man. Okay. Well, that's how we started this episode of Talk Talks.
yeah.
This is a cool one. This is with Cooper Nichols.
Hi.
This is TJ's brother, if you don't know. Yeah, he moved back from Portland and is chilling here in the good old Idaho. So
Yeah. Chilling or living.
Yeah, and we just shot some new promos that Cooper shot. So
yeah.
Yeah, with my
Yeah.
expert photography skills, which I'm a well-known professional in. Doing it my whole life.
Well, they turned out good, so I'll credit you when we do them.
Oh,
And then all of
you
a sudden
so
you're
don't
gonna have
to do
you're
that.
Gonna, you're gonna have all these people that are like, "Yo, can you take my promos for my band?"
Like,
and
yeah,
then
dude.
you'd be like,
$5,000, please. Thank you.
that was so awesome.
Yeah, I want to become a grifter. That's going to be my new thing.
Hit me
Podcast
up on
and grifts.
Fiverr.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm here 'cause-
Cooper, tell us about yourself a little bit, and I don't know.
Yeah, I'm TJ's brother. I'm not in the ongoing concept. I feel like people get that confused. I think people assume that because like y'all are brothers that it would just make sense. But
Oh yeah, that it's like a
the whole thing is just like it's a
multi-family.
2-family like power group. It's not. So
Yeah, it's kind of becoming one just because you've been a little more hands-on, you know.
yeah, but I'm not like writing. I'm not like in the band. I'm like on the out. I don't know. I'm behind
Yeah,
the scenes.
honorary fifth, whatever member.
Whatever number. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, you're like an advisor.
Advisor. That sounds cool. I'm putting that on my resume. Yeah, we
Like-
did
Yeah.
Failures and Fakes in like 2019, and that was a podcast that was about being in a band while like y'all weren't in the band. And Dawson, I don't even think you were really actively doing TOC at that time.
In like 2019.
No.
Yeah, like, I
in
think you were maybe
2019,
playing some shows,
I had
but-
given up on everything. Not really, but I had just decided that it was time for me to get my life figured out and financially stable again. And so yeah, 2018 actually really was when it started. So yeah, you guys did I thought you guys started it earlier than that, like 2017.
No, because we were all living in that house in Hayden together in 2018 is when we moved there. I think, or 2019. We
I
started
honestly
like
can't
at the
remember.
end of 2019 is when we started the podcast, I think.
Yeah,
Or, like
and
in
then
the
it-
summer.
Yeah, and it basically went for about a year, I think. Then the unfortunate thing, or one of the unfortunate things about it, was that it started like right before COVID. So like a few months into doing the podcast, when we were finally like kind of getting a hang of it and I was feeling more comfortable editing it and all that stuff, then COVID hit, and it was like, what are you going to talk about on a podcast? Which every podcast ended up dealing with. And I stopped listening to a lot of my favorite podcasts then because they were all just complaining about like being stuck in their houses, which, yeah, that sucked. But
yeah, because the whole point of podcasts like was to be like an escape. And then every podcast became talking about.
Yeah. And we definitely talked about it a lot because it was like, what else?
All that was
like,
happening.
Yeah, it was. And then after that, we kind of pivoted to not really talking about band stuff, because originally it was like tour stories or weird whatever.
Yeah.
And we ran out pretty quick.
Yeah, you run out really fast. I don't know how. I mean, other than getting just a ton of guests, I don't know how like people can do podcasts with the same like, you know, roulette of people and keep things original, because you run out of content so quick.
Yeah. I mean, at least I think for us now, and it makes sense bringing Fillers and Fakes back because we're actively doing stuff again. So there are new things that are going on and we have the opportunity to discuss those things rather than it being like, okay, we're going to talk about the stories we've already talked about all over again.
And we had that like 4-year gap or whatever year gap to like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can do like, now it's like everything's fresh. So like you play a show and you do a podcast and you talk about the show and something random that happened, something that you would never really remember if you talked about it 3 years later, because you'd forget those little details.
Yeah.
So when it's fresh, you could be like, oh yeah, we played this show in Spokane last week and like some drunk chick fucking spilt her drink on my shoe. You know, like it's all fresh in that moment.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we ever talked about that either.
That wasn't that. I just made up a scenario, but that did
similar.
happen. That did happen. Yeah, I mean that was our CD release show, I think, and someone just right on my fucking shoe.
Just all over the stage though, and we couldn't decide if it was vomit or if it was a spilled drink. We had we had it on video.
Yeah, if I can find it, I'll put it right here.
Yeah.
But
and you can decide what happened because we tried.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Cooper, I've known you just as long as I've known TJ and Jake. I mean, obviously you're Parker's age, so you're a little younger. And man, there's a lot of memories of growing up with you just fucking nuts, just being crazy as hell.
Yeah.
You definitely...
I've mellowed out.
You definitely have mellowed out, I'll tell you.
What's like a crazy time with Cooper?
Well, Cooper used to do this shit where he would just scream.
Yeah.
Like at the top of his lungs for no reason. Like, I don't know if it was attention seeking or like you just enjoyed the sound of your voice screaming, like piercing scream. Like, you know, a 9-year-old age scream, just constant.
Pretty bad.
And yeah, I just remember being upstairs with Jake playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 and just hearing downstairs just this like faint but not faint scream, and then your mom being like, Cooper, stop it, you know.
I think I was just obnoxious. I don't really know if there was any rhyme or reason to it.
I mean, you were the youngest, and then you didn't become the youngest. You went from being the youngest to all of a sudden being in the complete middle. I mean, Malcolm in the middle to the max. You got what, 3 adopted siblings and 4 adopted siblings that were younger than you, and now you're just stuck in the middle. And I think,
well, and there's an age gap. Like all the younger kids are closer in age, and then you and Jake are only like a year apart, and then I'm like right in the middle of that gap.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think part of it,
we were I was graduating high school, and then you were like still taking pictures with the kids while they're going into elementary. You know, like first day of school photos. Yeah. So like there was always that weird in between.
Well, yeah, like we did the what was it, the talent show or whatever when you guys were in high school and I was in 5th grade, and I was doing the yelling, which I can't do anymore.
what, like this? The
screaming.
Yeah, I mean, I was never good at it, but I could kind of do it.
You and Parker both like lost it.
Oh yeah. It
was like our secret superpower.
There's this one VHS tape that we have, or mini DV. I think it's actually from your guys' collection. It was at an elementary school, and it's like some sort of choir thing. I don't know what it was. but you're just staying in the background, like very serious.
I'm
and
sure, yeah.
Incredibly disturbing fucking video of Cooper.
Oh my god, we're gonna have to find that.
Oh, I
too.
have it.
Wait, it was a choir thing,
yeah.
or was it like
it
a
was
band
at Betty
thing?
Keeper.
Dropbox.
I have it, and I'm gonna find
I
it.
wanna
And put
see
it.
it.
I'm gonna put it up right now.
Well,
And,
it's weird because I'm really obnoxious with certain groups of people, and I have like crippling social anxiety outside of that. And it took me a long time to figure out like that I can try to find a balance between it.
No, and I'm only making fun of you because it's
Oh,
kind of
I know I
it's kind of
deserve
part
it.
of the podcast, but you know, we all have our little things that are very you know, like we don't realize it in the moment, and then you grow up and you start to dissect it, and you go back and you go, oh my gosh, that's the reason why I was this way, you know, back when I was in 8th grade or this and that. It's like because I was actually dealing with a lot of social anxiety or something like that, and it makes so much more sense when you look back on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like at the time, Cooper was just fucking nuts. Like screaming off the top of his lungs all the time while we're trying to play Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah, that's so weird that you like have that memory of Cooper because I guess our house is just so loud all the time.
It was
that
very-
that's just how, you know, it went from like Cooper being the screaming one to Lincoln being the screaming one.
Yeah,
So-
but you guys aged out of that before I did.
yeah.
See, and honestly too, like we're not just talking like where you guys moved, you know, in the place that your parents live now. We're talking like even the street, 2 streets down from my parents' house.
Oh, yeah.
That era. And that's way before the fostering and the adoption stuff happened. And so that's more of my memories are at. I think Parker probably has a different, because, you know, the age gap is so different. Parker's memories are way more in the other place you guys
In
live
the other
in.
house, yeah.
So for me, it was a lot of memories of doing, you know, with like Randy Gasper and the guy that lived across Devin or whatever lived across the street.
Oh yeah, and Ethan.
And that was the
yeah.
age because you were like 5 or 6 at the time.
Yeah.
And but that did still translated, like you doing what you're doing still translated when you guys moved. But my biggest memories
Stop.
are of that other house in Rathdrum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm glad nobody shot me for being really fucking annoying because I honestly probably deserved it. I was every time I see like even a photo of myself as a child, I'm like, dude, I wish somebody just hit me really fucking hard.
You're just too cute. I think you got away with a lot.
Something, yeah, yeah. Something that I noticed
privilege.
early on with you too is that you are very intelligent. Like you were way ahead of your like level of intelligence for your age. You were doing stuff mathematically. I don't know. I just remember you being very smart.
I'm smart in some ways.
Yeah, Cooper was like academically like
deficits.
way beyond Jake and I.
Yeah, and you guys
Like-
are 6 years
Yeah,
older.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do really well on like multiple choice tests. That was a big part of it. I don't know. I think I am smart in certain ways, but I think there's like street sense or common sense, whatever, or street smarts I don't have. Like
Yeah,
when
I
it
mean-
comes to like doing shit, like if somebody told me to like frame a wall or something, I would just drop dead. It wouldn't happen.
Well, that's so funny because what you just said is exactly what Kyle is like.
Yeah.
But Kyle can definitely build a wall. So I
Well,
don't know. I don't really know. I think yours is more built around maybe computer concepts, and Kyle is more built about like the ground up, like
Yeah.
working with your hands. So
Definitely.
it's the same thing, but Kyle's always struggled with like kind of more of the common sense. Like he's got no street smarts, but mathematically and academically, he is top tier 4.0 always. He's never gotten a B in his entire life. Like literally, I
Yeah.
don't think he ever
Yeah, I
got
don't
a
think he's
B
capable.
once. Yeah. Very smart guy. And Cooper, you have the same thing. But yeah, it's just interesting because yeah, we all have our things. I am horrible at academics, but I think I have a little bit more street smarts than some people.
But I feel like as you age, it almost balances out a little bit because you learn how to like, you learn your strengths and you learn how to adapt those to your weaknesses a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like the social thing you were saying before, like certain groups of people, you're super comfortable with being obnoxious and 100% yourself. And then other groups is like crippling. So
Yeah.
yeah, you kind of take like, oh, I can be that person with these people. I know I'm capable of doing that with this other group of people. But there's also that aspect of you're just different with different people.
Yeah, I think that's normal too.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're young and you're academically involved with everything school, you don't have the opportunities to kind of challenge your brain in a functionality that would be like, you know, putting a house together, or like a framing a wall for a house or something like you were talking about, or learning how to drive stick shift, or learning that you probably should change your oil after 3,000 miles. Like you don't have those opportunities because you're coddled by your parents to grow up academically, making sure that you understand 2 + 2 = 4. And you know,
I mean, definitely part of it is that I was never interested in like real life stuff. Like I didn't want to do sports.
Oh yeah.
Like I any of that kind of stuff I just didn't enjoy and I didn't want to do. And I think a lot of it was the social anxiety and stuff. So I definitely spent a lot more time like doing computer shit.
Yeah.
Just that kind of stuff that kind of like steered me in that direction. I don't know.
Were you ever friends with, man, you probably aren't, but we had neighbors down the street in where my parents live now. Ryan DeMaio, Eric DeMaio, and I can't remember the last kid, but he was your age, and he was like, you guys were like doppelgangers in the sense that exact same thing. Like we're so academically and computer smart, but had no.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I think you probably hung out with them at least a few times.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
When was it, Corey?
No, that was the other guy down the opposite side of the street. That was the opposite corner. The one that I'm talking about was in the cul-de-sac that was all the way down the street. Yeah. I can't remember his name, but he was so friggin' smart. But same thing. Yeah. Well, this is a weird tangent. We'll move on. Sorry.
Like 7-year-old like children memories.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I've known you guys longer than anybody else ever because you were the first people we ever met when we moved up from Bonners Ferry, which is over by the border of United States and Canada, and you were the first people we met. Played soccer together, and I just have so many memories. Like there's nobody other than maybe the All Reds. And for all this stuff, you guys, this is just friends jargon. Don't. You're not gonna know any of these people.
Who are the all? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. One of my earliest memories is going to your guys' house when our parents went to see Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, did they went and saw it? Like my parents went and saw it with your parents?
No, our parents went and saw it.
Yeah, because your parents babysat us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Really? Okay.
Yeah, because we didn't. Cooper wasn't allowed to see Lord of the Rings when it came out.
Well, you had to be
But
13,
we could watch
right?
it when it was on. What our parents put on DVD, I think.
Yeah.
So we were able to watch it.
No, yeah, Mom kicked me out of the house when you guys watched it. I had to go play outside.
There's,
And
like,
then I tried
certain
sneaking in
scenes,
to
yeah.
watch it, and I got yelled at. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, those are the days. The days where Lord of the Rings was potentially too intense.
That was the magic.
It was the magic,
That's
yeah.
what the
Satanic
issue was.
magic.
And then I was like, well, he was a Christian. We can watch it. It's okay.
yeah.
It took a lot of convincing to get my parents to let us watch it. And then we watched it, and then it was like, you know, Parker isn't allowed to watch this because he's too young to watching it. And then my parents going, man, this is a really good movie. And then like slowly it was like, well, you know, Parker could watch it. And then all of a sudden, like a year later, my dad's helping Parker build a sword of Aragorn. Like,
Yeah.
I remember
It
that.
became Parker's whole personality.
Yeah, Parker was obsessed.
yeah, it's so funny how like, you know, I was the oldest, so I got the most restrictions, and then Kyle got a lot of restrictions too. And then Parker, it was like they tried to keep those restrictions, but because we were older and didn't have those anymore, it's like they just were like, yeah, I don't know how do we enforce this? And like, you know, and so Parker basically was able to do all the things that we were able to do, but he was 6 years younger than us.
I definitely had the same thing.
It was like,
Yeah.
what the frick? Like we weren't able to watch this show 6 years ago. We weren't even allowed to watch Pokemon 6 years ago. Like
most of the time, I think Jake and I like used it to our advantage because they're like, well, if Cooper asks if he can watch it, then we'll be able to go. Like,
Yeah,
watch
you
it, 'cause
guys.
Cooper
Anytime
can
you
get away
guys
with
wanted
it.
to do
yeah.
anything, you would ask me. Especially video games. If you guys wanted to play games, you would always have me ask.
Yeah, go ask mom. We want to play Mario Kart.
It worked.
Yeah.
That's actually really smart. I don't think we ever used that tactic with Parker because Parker was only into cars. He loved cars, so he was constantly getting his Hot Wheels, and we're just like, what the
Parker
fuck
always
is
had
this
really weird
shit?
fixations, though. There was like he had his Lord of the Rings thing. He had airplanes for a while, I think.
Yeah.
Cars. like golf or some weird sport?
He was very
or some
much
shit?
into golf.
Yeah.
He was actually very good at golf, like prodigy level golf. He never talks about that. Yeah, he did lessons, and the instructor was like, "Holy shit, this guy is insane." He was really good at golf, but he just moved on and went back to cars, and now he just is the mechanic of the band. He's really good with cars. I love it. I mean, I think it's cool. But yeah, he gets fixated on certain things, and but all of those things kind of still stuck. Like he's still, you know, he got fixated on drumming, and that's kind of where it all began. Like,
Well, he loved airsoft guns, and now he loves guns.
that's true.
Just graduated.
But it is interesting that a lot of the like things that he was fixated on have become like huge staples in his life.
Yeah, I mean, golfing is such a timing thing, and like you can bring it back to drumming too. Like it's a almost a rhythmic thing that you're doing with your body and the swing, and like how you propel yourself. It's all very like, you know, mechanical, I guess you could say. And so it kind of goes back to that old drumming.
Yeah, I don't know
aspect.
anything about golf.
Yeah,
No.
I think I'm a decent drummer, but I probably couldn't golf for shit. I've never tried it though. Maybe someday.
I mean, like it's all about precision. So, you know, when you play drums, like precision
Not
isn't
precise.
what?
I'm not precise.
Well,
must
okay,
be a shitty
but
drummer.
I think
I
just
mean, yeah,
I think
every
just to
sound guy
play
hated
drums
me.
in general, you need to be precise enough to be able to hit things on time.
Yeah.
And you know, you got to, and like, you know, you want to make sure that you hit the snare in a certain way. If you want a certain sound, you want to hit the cymbal at a certain position to hit a certain sound too. You know, if you want to hit the bell, you got to be precise to hit the bell on the cymbal. You know, things like that.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
it's all about precision without realizing it. Guitar's the same way though too.
Should we talk about like, I don't know. I think if I was a TOC fan and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm having a hard time explaining my like reasons for being involved with the band at
your
all.
value right now.
Yeah. And I'm like, why am I allowed to sit on this couch?
Oh, well, I mean,
We're not going to validate you.
Well, okay, so when we, I don't, yeah, it's fine. I understand. I don't deserve it. When we did Failures and Fakes, that was the thing too. I was like, why am I on this podcast if I was never in the band? Blah, blah, blah. I think for that show, it was because you guys say a lot of jargon and talk about like, oh yeah, I was talking to Dan and he said that, like you guys were always terrible about explaining what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I was kind of like the in-between, like the medium for the audience and the band. And I think that's kind of still a little bit of the dynamic.
Yeah,
But I'm definitely more like in it now.
I think that I've always been really into like involving people around me for lots of different things. So like Ian Nelson, who played bass for us for a little bit when the guys left, but he was a big part of helping us with music videos. Josh Allred showed a lot of film stuff too, and he helped us with like Cover Girl and a couple other music videos, and he helped us with The Feel Again. So I'm always like looking for talent around the people that are closest to me. And for you, you know, you showed a lot of stuff like that, but also you weren't really in my circle. And you also like, it was just, but at the same time, like you're always on the fringe of like people that I know, and you're TJ's brother, so it's like it makes sense. So when everyone came back, it's like, yeah, Cooper's talented as hell. So like, what can he maybe help us with? And sure enough,
a couple of things.
I mean, a couple
Not
of things,
a lot.
but it's still enough to, you know, validate you to be a part of what we are, because I struggle with trying to micromanage everything, and the biggest thing for me over the past few years is trying to like let go of some stuff and allow others to come in and help me, because, you know, their vision is important and I can't do everything. And so I think along with that process of me finding myself in that sense, you know, you came along and kind of were like, hey, I have some input on the Prisoner Again song. And then you provided some synth stuff. And then I was like, oh, cool. Well, you know, that's awesome. Let's add that. And then, you know, we just kind of kept the conversation going. And then when we wanted to start our Discord or Patreon or whatever, it's like, you know, you'd be great to run this. And that's where it's gone.
I'm terminally online. The perfect fit.
Really though, that's why like, I mean, like Dawson was saying, like we have kind of, and especially in the last couple of years, like things have just shifted into being so much more collaborative as a band that like you have crafted some skills over the last 5 years. So like you've become valuable to where it's like, oh, we can bring Cooper in because you're bringing something to the table.
Yeah.
And you also did initiate like Failures and Fakes, the podcast. Like that was you and like you're learning. So like we already saw that like you were striving to do something, and then it's just you're always around. So like might as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until I wasn't around for a year.
Well, but we still.
Yeah,
used you.
it worked out.
Yeah, I think that's like such a cool part of our band now is that we get to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like basically everybody that I know of, at least, that is involved with you guys has been involved for a long time.
Yeah.
And I mean, like the All Reds, like those guys are family friends. You know? I think that's really cool. I like that it basically stays within, you know, a certain circle. And that circle's definitely grown and like shifted and stuff. But I think that that's something that like for people that, you know, aren't in a band or don't know people in a band or whatever, like that kind of relationship, I don't know, like a band is so much more than what you see. Mm-hmm. 'Cause there's always so many moving parts in the background. It's not just writing music and touring and like doing, you know, photo shoots or whatever. Yeah. There's so much else to it. And I think it's really cool that TOC's always been very DIY and like stick to the people around you. Cause you guys don't show that, cause bands don't show that kind of stuff. Like how do you say that kind of stuff? Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But I think you can feel it.
Yeah. A lot of bands, you know, do have that kind of collective like community. But you know, a lot of bands are just so focused on, you know, we got a producer, we got a video, we got like a director, we got a manager, booking agent, all these things. Those people are just like industry. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like some other bands.
We've never like gone out of our way to be like, you're in the music industry, we want to like befriend you, and like we don't really do that. And we more bring in like, you're a friend, you're a family member, let's add you into the mix because like we want to be around you.
Yeah.
And it's not like we can gain some sort of insider something from some random person that we
No, I'm
give a
huge
shit
in the
about.
music industry, actually.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm a big name, yeah. Look me up.
I mean, the industry stuff that has happened has usually been pretty organic and kind of out of thin air. I mean, never really tried to force it. I think that forcing that type of stuff brings it's like forcing yourself to like reach out to a mechanic. It's like posting on Facebook, who's a good mechanic? And then like you get 30 comments, my buddy's a really good mechanic. And you go with that buddy and he fucks your whole car up. Like, no, you got to organically figure out who the best mechanic is. Don't, you know what I mean? So when you force it, it sometimes becomes a worse situation. And I think a big life lesson for me over the past few years is just letting things kind of naturally happen. And a lot of times the things that naturally happen are things that are right in front of my face and they're not out in the world. And so like, you know, with Cooper, with Josh Allred, with Ian, all these people were kind of just like in my realm that were able to do all these things. Now, for example, we just did promos today. Is Cooper a photographer? No, he's not. But he knows what to look for, and I can at least get 75% of the way there, set up the camera where I need it to go, kind of get the flow going. You know, Cooper can go stand in for me so I can kind of get the shot kind of figured out. And really, I just need someone to kind of guide from that 25%. And you can utilize people in those ways all the time. There's been so many instances with music videos where I'll have someone that helps me do filmography or like film when I'm in the shot, or I'll have TJ do it or something. And TJ's not he's not like a cinematic guy. Like he knows what looks good and what doesn't look good, but he doesn't know how ISO or aperture or like what the lens does. But if I tell him, hey, you know, keep the thing in this sort of realm, you know, twist the focus ring like this much here and there, I tell people that, and then they can do it, or they can run the dolly. Like I don't need to hire someone that I don't know, have no personal connection with, and get that shit done. I can use people around me that are willing and wanting to be a part of what we're doing. And that, to me, that's so much more fulfilling than getting some outside third party just doesn't make sense.
I think that started for you guys, at least in my perspective, like that kind of mindset, the DIY thing, the kind of like keeping it within, you know, a certain tight knit group of people. Did that start as like we don't have the money,
Yeah, 100%.
or the resources to make this happen? I feel like that's how it used to be. And I feel like now you guys are like almost intentional about.
I think that people fell in love with the concept of it, but honestly, it's not because we're doing it as a gimmick. It's because we just literally don't have the money to do it any other way.
Well, and that's how that's just how we do it now.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what makes it special.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most that we've done outside source was have Josh Schrader mix our record last 2 years ago for Again, and that was the first time I ever let anyone touch my music. And man, I mean, I took a risk because I was like, I don't know if I want anyone touching my stuff, but he had a vibe that felt like I could connect with. To come to find out that honestly, he's literally exactly like us. Like he does everything DIY himself. So him and his wife just run the entire studio, and yeah, it's cool that we were able to get that album done, build a really good friendship with him, and I feel like for me, he's part of that group now. He's part of the TOC group of people where, you know, we have a community of people. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. I think it also pushes everyone else around us to like get better at those skills too. Like we've all kind of learned how to use recording programs and like different instruments, and yeah, I think it has kind of forced us to spread our knowledge and learn a bunch of different things.
Well, you guys kind of all do a little bit of everything, because that's kind of how it has to go.
Yeah, and I think we're all pretty good about almost pushing each other to try to do different things. And I don't know, Dawson and I kind of been talking a lot recently about just like, that's like really what like friendships and that, like for Dawson and I, like friendship is almost based off of like what we do together, and not like, hey, let's like just hang out, which we can do, but so much of it is like, what can we create together?
Yeah.
And those are like the best friendships in my opinion.
Oh, I think so. I think you get to know somebody on like a really different like level, or whatever you want to call it, through doing that, through like collaborative whatever. Because you just get to know each other I mean, it's not like, you know, better than whatever kind of relationship. It's just way different, but it's also really unique. And like, in my long time on this earth, I feel like that's been a more difficult kind of relationship to find and build with somebody. I mean, you could jam with whoever. Not that anybody jams anymore, because we're all bedroom producers, but like back in the day, you could jam with anybody and like start a garage band and whatever, and have some level of that like vibe with each other. But when you find a group of people that you really like can lock in with, and you just feel like there's a common understanding, and you're all bringing something different to the table, but it's, you know, greater than the sum of its parts, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That's a super unique and super powerful bond. Hi, Reggie.
Yeah, I think a lot of it for us too has just kind of been learned over time too, because we have done we've been doing it the same way for so long, but in so many ways it is very different. So
Cooper, like what, you know, you've been helping us out with stuff, with the album and things like that. You also are doing a lot with the Patreon and the Discord. What is kind of just like your goal or your hope to maybe contribute in the future?
I want to make you guys millionaires.
Okay, cool.
And myself a millionaire by proxy.
I'm all for that.
I honestly, I don't know, whatever you guys need help with, like that's kind of my thing. I mean, obviously I've been super busy with my new job. We're still not fully moved into our new place, even though we've lived there for like a month now. So that's been taking up a lot of time, but yeah, just whatever you guys want help with or need help with, or I don't know. I feel like stuff just kind of organically pops up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, you know, with the Prisoner Again thing, that wasn't something that, like, TJ sent me a demo version of the song, and I think it was a really early version, because that was in like 2019. No, not 2019. What am I thinking?
It was like 2021, I think.
Yeah. which is crazy that it was that long ago. But anyway, yeah, TJ sent me like a really early demo of that, and I can't remember what synth I used, but it was some software thing, some synth patch that I made. And I just was like trying to send it as an example of like, here's like, you know, you guys should do like this kind of a thing for the intro. And then it just ended up being the thing because you guys liked it. So yeah, I guess whatever pops up.
I didn't even know that that's what you, I thought that's like, I thought that's what you wanted in it.
No, not at all. I was really surprised. I thought TJ was messing with me or something.
That's hilarious.
Because I mean, that was so early in like my journey or whatever of making music. Cause I've been playing drums since I was, I don't know, 7, and that's all I did. And then I think in 2020 I started making music. Yeah, cause I installed Reaper so we could do the podcasts, and then I got a bunch of free plugins and just started messing around, and then just like gradually started taking it more seriously. So anyway, yeah, like it was like a year into me doing that. So I was really shocked that you guys liked that enough. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. I just like, if I remember correctly, I just like hand programmed all the MIDI for whatever you were playing on guitar. And
I think it originally, if I remember correctly, was pretty like direct sounding, and I just added a bunch of like tape saturation to kind of make it sound a little more distorted and blend a little bit better.
Oh yeah, it was super dry.
But you know, a lot of times too, like whenever someone does something like that, I always think, well, that sound must have sparked something. So it's like, why change it? And it sounded cool. So I was like, I'll just add this texture and see what happens. And it just kind of morphed into the thing. So
yeah, I remember TJ asked me to compress it and I couldn't.
You didn't know how?
Like I tried to, but I was setting whatever, I can't even remember. I think I set the threshold or the ratio or whatever off. It was really, that was before I was like using compressors.
Cause you just took the guitar in, right? And you just put like the guitar riff and put it in MIDI.
Yeah, I just rewrote it in MIDI and then ran it through a serum patch. It was a serum patch, and it was one that was like, it was a preset that I had like completely changed and like done weird FM stuff and random shit with, and it always sounded really bad. And it was like on the verge of sounding cool, and then I ran that MIDI through it because I was just scrolling through presets, and I listened to it and I was like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah,
and that's what it ended up being.
A lot of times synths only sound good when the right notes come through it.
Yeah, it's like, is it 16th notes? Is it like a full bar you need to run? Yeah, it's really weird, but that's just how that worked out. And I ended up tweaking it quite a bit, but it was, yeah. So I don't know, whatever you guys want help with, I'll help with.
It's awesome.
I just always feel like I'm so clueless about everything because I've never done any of it.
That's a cool thing. That's the thing, is that like so much of the people that I surround myself with are like, what's the fucking jack of all trades, master of none? That type of thing, where they're just kind of good enough that they can figure like everything out, just enough to make things work. And I love that because, you know, I think that we, especially like with this day and age, I feel like we all can gain a lot from learning new techniques, learning something that's a little bit uncomfortable, because you never know when you're going to need that specific thing, whether it's learning how to, you know, grow tomatoes, or it's learning, you know, how to do music production, or, you know, figuring out how to underwater basket weave or something. Like all of those things can come in handy. You just never know when. And I feel like I'm always surrounding myself with people like that. And I'm always encouraging people to be like that, because you don't have anything to lose. You have nothing to lose. Hey, fucker, don't hit the tripod. Yeah, come over here, buddy.
I mean, yeah, not to drone on about it too long, but like I think part of it is that my background is literally the same as TJ's because we grew up in the same house. But my like just what I have spent my adulthood and even like what I spent my, you know, teenage years doing was so completely like opposite. Cause like I mean I was in a band for like a few months, I think, and like played a couple of shows. But beyond that, I had like no experience with that stuff. The kind of music that I make is nothing. I mean, it's like not even in the same realm of what you guys do. Just like in general.
No, but that's
like the
really
opposite
cool.
thing.
And that's what kind of, again, like I think Dimitri working on Fillers and Fakes again was like, oh yeah, we can like collaborate and work with different people and get inspiration.
Yeah.
and like it's not some super precious thing that we need to just control every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And I think you bringing in Dimitri initially was really what sparked then bringing Cooper, and then eventually going in and bringing Josh in.
That was a big learning curve for me. It was a big opening myself up to other people and not, being this bottled mess of micromanagement. It's not healthy, and it hinders the potential of what your songs or what your art could become. So yeah, I mean, I'm just really into collaborating in community these days. So,
and we've talked about that too, like recently with like our jobs and stuff. Of like, if we're gonna like bring in these people, we need to like trust them. Like we need to trust that they're doing the job that we hired them to do. Like you can just put faith into the people that you trust, and that's why it's easier for us, is because who we're bringing in are people that we automatically trust anyways as friends or as family. So then that creative aspect of it, or just pushing the button on the camera, is like,
well, the ego and stuff doesn't factor into it as much either, because a lot of those barriers just never existed in the first place.
Yeah, I think like the only person we've really brought in that hasn't been just like directly a friend is Chris, our sound guy.
Oh yeah,
but even still, he was like super chill instantly, and he was brought in because of somebody that we do know. So yeah,
that's right. I forgot. Yeah. So we do have that once in a while, but most of the time it's always someone pretty close, and I don't know. But we also are really careful about who we bring on too, because I there's a lot of red flags with everything. Like I'm a very cautious person, so if there's any potential that this person that I want to bring on is gonna down the road be a thorn on my side, I just don't.
Yeah,
it's hard to explain though, because I don't have really any problems with anybody. Everyone has a gift in one way or another. It's just it's hard to explain. Anyways, it's kind of a stupid tangent. I think that we could probably call it here. We're gonna do what's it called?
Patreon exclusive.
But what's the term? Is it like after dark? Is that the thing that you guys are talking about?
Oh God, I don't even know.
That's a stupid term. Okay. Well, we're gonna end this podcast. This has been great with
we're gonna turn off the lights.
TJ's.
I have been here.
Almost called you TJ's brother. This has been awesome with Cooper. Yeah, we're gonna do a Patreon exclusive segment about The Office, and if you guys want to subscribe to our Patreon, you should. I'll put it in the description below. But thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.
Watch Failures and Fakes. Listen to Failures and Fakes.
Forgot about that.
Bye.